What's up, guys? Welcome to a new video. And today, um, we are going to be briefly comparing four of the top most scripting languages, and we will go through the pros and cons of each, and we will also discuss where to use when, and also um, why are they particularly called scripting languages and how are they different from other languages out there. So if you jump to the similarities, I guess the biggest one is going to be that usually these languages are interpreted, and if you don't know what does that mean, it means they are compiled just in time, or they are compiled to machine code using some kind of a virtual machine or an interpreter. Example, um, if I jump into this, um, well, yeah, see the directory, and if we, for example, I have this example Python script running over here. So this the Python 3 argument, we are telling Python, which is the interpreter, to run this script which prints numbers from 1 to a million. But the thing is that if you would be doing it with a file language, you first have to compile that thing into machine code and then run an example. If you just cd back into the desktop directory, and I wrote this thing in C. Yeah, I don't know, it's giving some kind of error, but you get one thing over here. It compiles it just in time. So usually these languages are slow because they need a translator to do it. And usually these scripting languages, mostly, I guess almost every scripting language is a interpreted language except for I think Golang, and it was to initially be made to replace C, because of its high efficiency, but also because of its purely better memory allocation and garbage collection. But now it's being used as a replacement for Node.js on the backend, and yeah. And other similarity of a scripting language is that they're mostly used for automation, and it could be any kind of automation, whether it's for the servers or it's for your home PC, whatever you want to call it. But automation is a big part of the developer's workflow, so I think these languages are pretty good for that, and they can let you achieve a lot more, make your work a lot more easier. And then finally, these languages are mostly used by system admins, again, for automation and things like package managers and all that. So, and also by backend developers, for connecting their REST APIs and all that stuff. Moving to the first language where it's Python, and this out of all the languages, I think this is the most used one, and it's, I guess, the best package out there. And um, so jumping to pros here, it it's it's so versatile that it can work on just about anything. It works on Windows, it works on Mac, Linux, and even OBSDs. Now, um, um, so it runs on Linux, which means there are a lot of things. I mean, which run Linux and they don't run other operating systems. So that really gives a lot of compatibility to Python. But again, if you are running um, Python in some kind of virtual environment, again, of Linux, um, the Python and its essential libraries might work fine, but other libraries like Selenium and all that might break, especially if it's like a compatibility layer like WSO1 or Sigmin or all those other environments, made for iOS, and that probably might not be compatible with some packages, others they might not be. And speaking of packages and libraries, this um, Python is the language to go because it's the best for, I guess, automation and um, support for third-party packages or libraries is actually pretty good. And it's particularly in the all-in-one language because it supports multiple platforms, and um, you could use it for system automation as well as making REST APIs. You can even use it to make GUIs, but I wouldn't particularly use that because I guess there are better languages like JavaScript out there. And one drawback it has compared to all the other languages in the list, it's particularly slow, and it's not. For example, if I'm maintaining a Linux server, this wouldn't be my language of choice. But that said, it's a pretty easy to learn language. The syntax is pretty easy. Like if you know OOP, this like the best thing to jump on. And I would surely, if I would be making APIs or bots, I would do it in this language because it's very versatile. It's a little slow compared to the others, but um, it's cross-platform. I mean, you could write it once, and if you want to automate it, you could literally run it all on OSs, unless like there's something that OS specific, and even then you could use if-else statements and to make your work a lot more easier. But as I said, it's not a fast language, and if you want to maintain your server or something, that's what our next language is called, and it's bad. And it starting about its compatibility, it works on any Unix based or Unix like operating system, which means it works on OS X, Linux, BSDs, and all other Linux spaces. I'm talking about servers and all that. That's actually um, pretty good, but doesn't work on one specific system, and that's Windows. Uh, and many people are like, hey, you could use Sigma or you could use one or use two, but that kills the whole purpose of using Bash at the first place because all the things you could automate with Bash inside those environment wouldn't affect your Windows environment, so it's kind of useless, and that's why I don't know who has created Bash, but they're a part of a open source world, and they were very intelligent not to do port it to things to environment it's not made for example, and it's also faster compared to you know Python because it's actually um, because it doesn't have that many libraries and all that, so it's actually pretty fast. And in terms of speed, it also has kind of similar languages, but they are kind of different. It's a shell scripting language, and there are others uh, which are based on it, and those are actually even faster than Bash. Example like CSH, which many people are shifting to these days, and also Dash. Dash is particularly a very fast language. People claim it to be 4 times faster than Bash, but I haven't tried Dash. I have tried CSH. I use it on OS X, and it's actually pretty good. And theming is actually pretty good. Um, but moving to another advanced, I think you know you should if you're indie developer or something, and you're a full stack developer, and you just trying to build a startup or something. I think this is a language which is a must learn. It's not what every full stack dev should learn, but you know when you are starting a startup or something, you have to manage your servers, and you have to that's I think the job of a full stack dev. It's to manage the servers, and then there's the database server, and then you have to um, put your website on that server, and you need to connect the front end with the back end using a REST API. So, and for that matter, you should really learn Bash. It's very particularly DNF. It's pretty easy to learn, if you are Alex or any other Unix based Unix like operating system user, which most devs are. So it's not something difficult to come into, and things like variables and writing functions aren't something they also think to do, and mostly are like commands. And of course, system admins, especially ones maintaining servers, should also learn this. Now, the cons are that there is no library support. Okay, it's a shell language, and that's particularly what you are asking for, and it's good for what it is. It's not, you cannot do back-end development with Bash. You can surely administrate a server with it. Moving to our language, and this language has particularly gained a lot of popularity in the recent years, and it's not particularly a new language. In fact, it existed, way before in the Windows 7 days, but this has blown my mind recently. It's not the language for me particularly, but for some people, uh, it might be uh, a very good thing, especially for system administrators, who administrate other PCs. It's really, really good for them because um, it's highly integrated, with the Microsoft ecosystem and the .NET framework. It works best on Windows. And one thing about this language is again Microsoft being a stupid asshole is that porting um, PowerShell to Mac and Linux, and it completely doesn't make sense on these two platforms because it's so Windows specific. And you talk about it, it really works great on Windows. So I really don't need to learn this language because I'm not a system admin. I'm a developer, but I can think of how much important this, how much fun this could be, or how much easy can it make someone work. And for that, it's a really good language. And then finally moving on our last language, and it's Ruby. And again, like Python, this thing works on just about anything. It's a very versatile language in terms of that, and it's open source. And the reason this language got popular is because of its Rails framework, which was again used for backend development, and it's a very powerful language. It's very fast and it's the fastest of all four. I could even show you examples. And if we just see the backend, I could see that if I run this Ruby script, Ruby sample dot Ruby. A little bit. You can see it prints all those numbers summary in just about a second. And if you do the same thing with Python, you could see it takes much longer to. So it's actually pretty fast. And the best part of it, for beginners is that it's syntax, it's syntactual sugar. It's very easy to learn. It's very simple, like guy who doesn't know programming could easily jump into Ruby. Then there are other interpreter languages like JavaScript, which also has a compiled version of itself, or object-oriented version of itself, like TypeScript and CoffeeScript. JavaScript itself is an interpreter language, and it's used on both the front end and on the back end, but in my eyes, I wouldn't call it a scripting language because you cannot quickly automate stuff with JavaScript. and it's very useful on the back end. And there, it doesn't mean that the language is useful on the back end. It is necessarily a scripting language. For example, Java is really useful on the back end, but you cannot automate stuff with Java. Or cannot, but it necessarily it's not good on for automating stuff. Um. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider like and subscribe, because it's very hard to um, getting few time uh, skipping all these bullshit and just taking some time out. So it really the effort in these videos are is pretty much. So I hope you like this video, and if you did, please do everything which helps support the YouTube algorithm. And um and yeah, as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.